the camera. Give it off, down.
I'm gonna go on record as saying that I'm a big fan of heist movies. Whether we're talking about a classic like Rafifi or a cutting-edge thriller like Inception or The Town, I love all the tropes of the genre. Assembling the team, avoiding the cops, planning the operation, cracking into the super safe, the inevitable complication, all that stuff. And today on Remake Rematch, we're going to be looking at two fine examples of the genre. The Italian Job from 1969 and its 2003 remake. The original Italian Job got its name from the titular heist that Michael Caine and his gang of ragamuffins pulls off in Italy as they attempt to procure a stash of gold during an Italy-England soccer game. It's a really fun film that was recently ranked the best British film ever made in a poll of British moviegoers, so it definitely has the popular vote. The sequel trades in the Italian setting for Los Angeles, which kind of makes sense when you realize that both films key on the use of creating traffic jams to help pull off their heists. And having driven through Los Angeles a few times at rush hour, when you can expect any given trip to take about twice as long as it should, I have to say that it's a fitting locale for traffic-based hijinks. But enough about this for now, it's time to take a look at the good and bad aspects of each of them before deciding a winner. So without further ado, let's get this remake rematch on. Best Leading Man. Most robbery movies feature ensemble casts, mostly because robbing banks or vaults or what have you is usually a team activity. But there's always a focal point, and in these two movies we're following along with either Michael Caine or Mark Wahlberg. Now, I don't mind Mark Wahlberg, he's always been kind of a one-note dude to me, but when he finds a role that hits that note, like in The Departed, he can be pretty effective. Or when he's teaming up with M. Night Shyamalan, he can be turning in one of the worst performances you'll see outside of a sci-fi original movie.
What? No.
But he's fine here, giving that Wahlberg smile just enough to amiably coast through the movie without flexing his acting brain all that much. Michael Caine, on the other hand, is totally amazing in the British version of this film. It's a silly movie, but he plays the silliness up to an insanely charming degree. It's one of his iconic roles, made all the weirder for an audience that might only know him from the Batman or Austin Powers movies, because he is, after Black Dynamite, perhaps the pimpiest pimp to ever pimp on screen. He bangs like 7 girls as soon as he gets out of prison at the beginning, gets caught with 3 more by his girlfriend, hooks up with his dead friend's widow. This guy even has a ladies' room in his own apartment.
I know you're in here, Charlie. There's no use hiding.
But when the time comes to pull the job, he's all business and orchestrates a fun little heist while keeping his loony co-conspirators in line. So the winner here is obviously the original. Best Ensemble. The British Italian Job is Michael Caine's show. There are a bunch of other people that do the job with him, most notably Benny Hill as a chubby-chasing computer expert, but for the most part it's kind of an interchangeable mob of dudes who exist to be yelled at by Charlie.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off!
Noel Coward is amusing as the royalty-loving crime boss Mr. Bridger, who manages to effectively run the prison he's incarcerated in. But apart from him, there's just kind of a huge group of dudes who pop in and out of the movie when needed. The remake does a better job of keeping everyone straight by proceeding with a small crew and letting you get to know them all through flashbacks and small character moments.
Whoa! Damn, that was cool. How'd you do that?
What?
Seth Green is mildly annoying as the obligatory super hacker, but most Def's easygoing presence kind of counterbalances that a bit. And it's worth remembering that this film and The Transporter the year before it solidified Jason Statham's reputation as badass action star for American audiences, even if he doesn't really get to do a lot of ass kicking here. Rounding out the cast are Donald Sutherland and Ed Norton. Bringing up the rear is Oscar winner Charlize Theron as the love interest. There is a weird sensation that none of these guys really challenge themselves though, but maybe that's just due to the breezy nature of the screenplay. Kind of by default, I have to give this one to the remake, just because it actually bothers to ensure that we know who the heck is on Charlie's team and to flesh out their background. Worst hacking. The notion of taking over traffic cameras and stoplights to create a traffic jam seems like it's popped up in heist movies before, but the original Italian Job is probably the originator of the scheme. Like so much else in the film, the plan is kind of alluded to without being fleshed out over much. The crew sneaks into a building, replaces a magnetic tape with another of Benny Hill's design, and then sends out the most British guy ever to knock out the traffic cameras by throwing little beeping boxes at them. It's one of those things where they ask you not to think too much about what's going on, just to accept it and move on with the fun, and it kind of works because of it.
Welcome to LA's Automated Traffic Surveillance and Control Operations Center.
In the remake, however, we're told that Seth Green is going to hack into the traffic computers, and then he just kind of does. There's no real drama to speak of, no risks to take. It's just another one of those early 2000s magical hacking sequences that effectively made nerds into gods. It's completely tension-free and kind of silly, but silly in a bad way. So the winner here is the original film. Best Heist. The heist in the original film suffers a bit from being too brief. They find the gold, steal it, and drive off within the space of around 5 minutes. The remake does a better job of instilling tension in their little escapade, with some inventive action, an enemy helicopter monitoring their every move, a trio of armored cars as decoys, and a memorable method for making one of those armored cars disappear. Very Hollywood and wholly unrealistic, but it's still well crafted.
Damn.
So the advantage here goes to the remake. Best car chase. Both of these movies are known for the distinctive use of the Mini Cooper as a heist escape mechanism. But while the remake manages to put together a slick little escape run through sewers and subways, the original film goes all in with the charm, using their trio of Coopers to run through malls in Rome, through rooftop racetracks, on top of buildings, through sewers, jumping off ramps, and the whole 9 yards. It might not be as tightly edited as some more modern car chases, but it's wonderfully goofy. Well, the winner here is the original. Most dated reference. One of the things that's curious about the original film is its repeated references to European football, which may confuse modern viewers for whom the sport, better known as soccer, is nothing but a distant memory. They might as well have been talking about cricket for all of its relevance to modern audiences. Even though the remake is less than 10 years old though, it somehow manages to date itself even worse by repeatedly referencing Napster, audibly and visually.
You know, he's who really invented Napster?
I'm not calling you the Napster.
You know what he said? He said he named it Napster because it was his nickname, because of the nappy hair under the hat. But it's because I was napping when he stole it from me.
Napster, 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 Napster. A lot of movies that have come out recently, like Kick-Ass, are probably going to seem dated when MySpace goes dark, but the level of branding on display in The Italian Job is still really jarring. So the winner here is the remake. In conclusion, it is hard to beat a classic, and the American version of The Italian Job wisely doesn't even really try. It's expensive, slickly made, but kind of self-satisfied. It's fine for what it is, but it winds up being kind of just another heist movie without much of the charm or humor of the original film. It's enjoyable enough, but even on those grounds, it doesn't stand up to a lot of the better, more dramatic thief films of the last decade. There have been rumors of a Brazilian sequel for years now, to which I say, The original film is totally fun though. It's kind of lazy by today's standards for heist films perhaps, using Michael Caine's natural charm as a propellant, but it works really well as a farce and has a lot of wonderful little throwaway gags, such as its depiction of Italians as gambling, drinking, womanizing buffoons, all within about 30 seconds. It's a goofy experience, but it's easy to see why the people of Britain love it so much. In the end, this one's an easy call, and despite the competence of the second film, the original wins this remake rematch. That's all the time we have for today, but be sure to pop into the comments down below and let us know what you think about this remake rematch. Thanks, and we'll see you next time here on Screened.com.
I could eat a horse.